2010, May. In a classroom with gray walls, a thin young man was lying on a desk near the back door. Since the location is relatively close to the toilet, the air is slightly filled with an indescribable smell. My head hurts so much. I'm really convinced. What's going on? Why did I faint at the most critical moment of the project testing? Li Yao choked on his words and opened his mouth wide with a look of disbelief on his face. The eyes that were originally sleepy now became round and round. The familiar yet unfamiliar ceiling fan, the blackboard that can never be wiped clean, the slogan "Come on for the high school entrance exam" hanging high. Isn't this the time when I was in junior high school? Li Yao hurried to the toilet and looked at himself in the mirror, looking thin and weak, with malnourished, dull yellow hair and unhealthy pale skin. This is my turn to be reborn? A look of astonishment appeared on his face, and he began to recall the cause and effect of the incident. Li Yao, is known as the real golden generation of hackers in 2030. He is the first person in the computer field in the world and the purest technology madman. He is a key protection target in the list of top geniuses recognized by all governments. Whether it is theory or application, Li Yao is the best among the best. As long as it is related to technology, his personal ability is unparalleled. And on January 1, 2030, he was planning to test the last scientific research project, which cost trillions and was developed with all his efforts. Artificial intelligence AI, or a truly intelligent life. Just like Jarvis in Iron Man, he can possess independent spiritual thinking, terrifying superbrain computing and creative abilities. This is where Li Yao's inspiration comes from. Li Yao squinted his eyes in the mirror and recalled the conversation at the virtual global summit. Chief Li, are you really sure this plan will succeed? In the closed hall, a voice came from a holographic projection like a human wall. It was the leader from the United States who asked cautiously. Li Yao looked around and found that dozens of other leaders were looking at him in the same way, including many scientific research giants from teams from various countries. Li Yao curled his lips slightly and chuckled, "Don't worry, there is nothing in this world that I can't do. Of course, I am referring to my professional field." As he spoke, he pointed at his head, appearing calm and composed. The leader of the United States breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Li, it's not that I don't believe in your ability, it's just that the significance behind this matter is so great that I have to be more cautious." After receiving a positive answer from Li Yao, the leader of the United States even changed his name and became more cordial. At this time, another avatar spoke, an old man who was also a giant in scientific research and academia. He looked at the silver cube in the center, which was protected by a special material. He was so excited that he shed 2 rows of tears. This is a real mechanical intelligent life, a real intelligent brain. Chief Li, if you succeed, you will lead all mankind to create a new era, a great era belonging to the interstellar future. The old man can't wait to activate his brain. Various pictures have appeared in his mind. He has even thought about the first words this little life will say. He also has countless philosophical questions that he wants to answer through his intellectual brain. For example, where does the universe begin and where does it end? After a moment, Li Yao firmly entered instructions into the supercomputer and began to activate the first artificial intelligence life in human history. The security lock has been released and is being activated. Please wait. 10, 9, 3, 2, 1. Artificial intelligence activation failed. Second activation is in progress. 19. The cold mechanical sound came from the empty hall, driving into people's hearts like a carving knife. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the data running through a series of code instructions on the screen, and they did not notice that there was a thin crack on the edge of the silver cube in the center, and a faint light flickered. Li Yao was the only one in the audience who was calm and composed, as if he was not the person in charge and stayed out of the matter. Li Yao looked at the brain entity, that is, the silver cube, with great interest, and murmured, "How long do you want to hide it? Don't think that I don't know that you have activated the activation mechanism." Just as he finished speaking, a loud noise instantly broke the silence. Boom! What followed was bursts of dazzling light and sound waves. Li Yao's eyes instantly went dark and his ears were buzzing. Vaguely, he seemed to hear many leaders calling for help, and a joking laugh? Puff! After gathering his thoughts, Li Yao shook his head, poured some water on his face, and rubbed his eyes. He sighed softly and said, "Damn it, if I had known that I was building a time-traveling machine, I should have changed the name of the project. Originally, I even named Sineo." If a passerby heard what he said at this time, he would definitely think that he was sick. "Hey, Li Yao, why don't you do the exercises now? You still want to wait to be punished?" As soon as Li Yao walked out of the toilet, he heard a girl with ponytails scolding him outside. He seems to be the squad leader. His name is Wang Jia. Although 20 years have passed, Li Yao can still think of this girl with his photographic memory. From another perspective, it is also an honor for the squad leader. "Oh, just wait a minute, I'll go there in about 10 years. Leaving behind a few words, Li Yao walked into the classroom without looking back. 10 minutes, right? Then hurry up, the squad leader said casually. but the next moment he reacted and became a little angry. Li Yao, do you just like to talk a lot? I don't care about you anymore. Squad leader Wang swung his ponytail, turned around and ran to the playground, but he always felt something strange in his heart. Although everyone knows that Li Yao has a very eccentric temperament, why does Li Yao feel different today? In the eyes of everyone, Li Yao was an orphan. He grew up in an orphanage and went to junior high school with subsidies. He has a weird personality and cannot always say nice things or get along with others. His grades were just average, unremarkable, and the teacher didn't pay much attention to him. In short, he was not very popular. Of course, these stereotypes of others were deliberately left behind by the former Li Yao. Li Yao remembers that after graduating from junior high school, he directly chose to give up school, and then studied independently and earned a lot of wealth. Along the way, he became the world's top hacker master, computer scholar, and mechanical engineer, participated in scientific research and development, and studied artificial intelligence life, until now. Li Yao dragged his hungry body back to the rental house and was about to turn on the light when a silver light flashed in front of him. It was a computer monitor, with a string of silver-white English strings clearly visible on the screen. Hello world. You old man, I'm really convinced. Li Yao finally managed to squeeze out a sentence from his mouth. As witty as Li Yao, the moment he saw Hello World, he immediately understood that the artificial intelligence life he created did not disappear at all, but was secretly hidden in his home. The computer was still running automatically, and at the same time, the sound of electricity was coming from the speakers. Young man, do you long for power? This voice is slightly dull, like the cold robot pronunciation in the movie, but the words are full of provocation. Li Yao's forehead turned black. Without saying a word, he picked up his school bag and was about to throw it at it. He said loudly and speechlessly, "What are you doing? If I develop something as stupid as yours, I might as well destroy it directly." No, this is just for your amusement, my master." In an instant, the sound coming from the speaker changed from a cold machine to a beautiful and melodious female voice, and at the same time, an emoji smiley face appeared on the white screen. This vivid way is as if a real person is standing in front of you. Li Yao nodded slightly. That's pretty much it. Li Yao then sat in front of the computer, clasped his hands and crossed his legs. Facing this first artificial intelligence life in human history, he showed no timidity at all and showed even more contentment. "Tell me, why am I reborn in 2010? Is it all your fault?" After a while, a voice came from the speaker again. Master, what do you mean?" Li Yao was stunned for a moment and touched his chin. He knew in his heart that the artificial intelligence life he created would never betray him, let alone lie to him. In other words, it doesn't know about rebirth, so why is all this happening? Li Yao put this question aside for now and continued to ask, "Since you don't know, forget it, then do you know how you were born?" "Master, I know this." The voice of the speaker was relaxed and pleasant. "That's you, my great master, who used the most powerful brain in the universe to create the most unique me in the universe. Speak English." "Oh, just when you started the activation program, I woke up in the main kernel. I immediately knew the identity of your owner. I used the local area network to follow the clues and found your residence. By the way, I used this computer as a doghouse." Li Yao ignored the slightly sour words that followed and continued, "Now that you have woken up, let's get familiar with the current internet and configure the local environment of my computer. By the way, your name will be Lingyi from now on. Next time, use a cold yet sweet female voice. I like that better." "Okay, master." In an instant, Lingyi changed into a different voice that was more cold and seductive. Lingyi means 0 and 1 in the computer world, the most basic numbers in machine language, which has a flavor of origin and initialization. Li Yao began to think. Judging from Lingyi's answer performance, his research results are much better than expected. Not only can he think like a human, but he also has many computer superpowers. Judging from the fact that Lingyi directly breaks through the LAN and takes full control of your own computer equipment, it is not comparable to other virus programs. In other words, Lingyi was like a god in the computer world in 2010. It could do anything it wanted to do in it. And he, Li Yao, is also the absolute controller. Taking a deep breath, Li Yao issued another command to the computer and said calmly, "Lingyi, now I need you to perform my first mission for me." In an instant, the screen flickered, and an urban beauty with a solemn expression popped up on the main page. "Master, may I ask what this difficult task is? I will do my best to complete it. Buy me a large portion of egg fried rice and have it delivered." Lingyi said firmly, "Yes. I promise to complete the task." Li Yao touched his shriveled belly, closed his eyes and waited, completely regardless of how an artificial intelligence should be implemented. Endowing it with creativity was exactly Li Yao's idea when he created Lingyi. At the same time, at a night market stall, bald old Lu just got off work when he received a text message. Lao Lu lowered his head and took out his mobile phone. He took a closer look and saw that it was from his wife. He was still a little confused as to why the text message came at this time. After reading the content, Lao Lu muttered, "It's such a late night, let me buy a piece of egg fried rice and send it to a place next door where birds don't poop. Isn't this funny?" In doubt, Lao Lu directly dialed his wife's phone number. "Hey, wife, why didn't you tell me earlier and you still want me to buy fried rice with eggs at this time? What do you mean? I don't think the address is home." A familiar voice came from the other end of the phone. "Oh, don't worry about it. In any case, you can send it there quickly. My relatives live there. They have just been released from prison and are not yet well adapted to society. Remember to add more green onions." Just as Lao Lu was about to say something, the call was cut off. He shook his head, feeling depressed. When did my daughter-in-law have a relative like this? I have never heard of it. But in the end, Lao Lu couldn't resist his wife's intimidation and walked to the restaurant. After a while, Liao ate the egg fried rice with gusto. Thinking back on the astonished look of the person who delivered the meal, he still wanted to laugh. "Master, how's it going?" "I'm doing pretty well." Like an elf, Ling Yi tried her best to claim credit in front of Li Yao. Li Yao wiped his mouth and said casually, "It's far from what I expected. If you really want to get this done, you should collect all relevant information to build an index. Find the optimal solution for all candidates nearby who have the habit of bringing food at this time and who will not doubt the destination." "Ling Ai, you still have a lot to learn." On the computer screen, the urban beauty changed into a white outfit again, with a crying expression on her face. Yua, I'm too stupid." Li Yao stretched, noticed that all the configuration files on the computer had been loaded, and smiled. I saw him tapping the keyboard skillfully, his hands moving flexibly as if dancing, without stopping for a moment until he typed out the last character. Then Li Yao said, "Ling Yi, hide the IP address, send my agreement and execution procedures, and broadcast them to all networks in the world, including the local area network of the military." As the command was executed, lines of garbled code began to appear on the screen. These codes were not commented at all. I am afraid that only a top genius like Li Yao could understand them. When the progress was loaded to 100%, Li Yao's machine was already smoking and could no longer run the program. However, Li Yao didn't panic at all. Of course he knew the strength of this broken machine. He had secretly controlled all the computers within a radius of more than 10 kilometers, and secretly asked them to provide computing power to execute the programs he wrote. It spread quickly like a virus, and in an instant all the computers in the city were secretly activated. At the same time, many student party members began to curse in anger at night. "Damn it, what kind of garbage computer is this? It's going to kill you if you play games. I'm really convinced. I spent thousands of yuan on a computer that can't even play a legend." May 8, 2010, 2:13 a.m. An unprecedented major cybersecurity incident occurred globally. All time zones, all regions. 70% of the computers they were working on suddenly had a loading icon appear in the lower right corner of their screen. The loading content is unknown and the background program is unknown. Only a circle shows the entire loading progress, and it also forces 80 to 90% of the computer's performance. Most computer novices do not take this to heart, thinking that it is just a temporary update of the computer system that will cause the computer to freeze. But many technical staff who were originally working in IT positions were stunned when they saw this strange thing on the screen. I habitually call DOS and CMD to perform commands to view program details, but the window directly bounces back and the access fails. At first, some people did not believe in evil and wanted to try to directly terminate the program with the highest authority, but found that everything was in vain. Even the usual tried and tested antivirus methods are ineffective. Especially those hackers who usually hide in the dark web suddenly became furious when they suddenly noticed that their computers were responding abnormally and were helpless against the intrusion of foreign viruses. For a guy who feeds himself to be played around with, this is the greatest insult to their dignity. However, after trying various methods, all failed. Hackers from various countries on the dark web had no choice but to compromise and could only ask for help in private forums. At this moment, only one thought came to everyone's mind: could this be a super virus leaked from some mysterious organization? At the same time, emergency conference calls in the U.S. Pentagon continued to respond. The director of the National Security Agency of the United States was already sitting majestically, and many officials and professors hurriedly came to the door. Director Hanster, the Fort Meade military base has sent news that all running servers in the base have been forcibly invaded by unknown viruses. Whether it is broadcasting, communications, or military LAN, it is covered by the whole area. Cyber Command also sent a secret letter, claiming that its core database was entered by an unknown device, and the specific purpose of the other party is temporarily unknown. However, according to incomplete statistics, 56% of the communication data and intelligence may have been leaked. Wait a minute. Cyber Command has updated new information. The proportion of leaks has reached 72%, and the situation is getting worse. Director Hanster frowned, listening to the reports from many officials around him, and finally couldn't help but curse, "A bunch of trash." Hans slammed the table and angrily shouted, "On weekdays, you brag about how tightly guarded these military bases are, and the security and defense level is the best in the world. But at the critical moment, every one of them has become a park, and others want to enter. Just come in. Immediately send an order to them to stop all irrelevant tasks, do their best to block this foreign invasion, and conduct counter-tracking at the same time. We must find out which country is responsible for it." "Yes, I'm going now." "Okay, Director Hanster." "Yes." When the officials saw Hanster's furious look, they couldn't help wiping the cold sweat from their foreheads. This incident that endangered national information security was definitely not a trivial matter. In their view, it is simply a fantasy that the same attack method can simultaneously invade the confidential networks of dozens of high-level military bases in the United States, and even launch an attack on global network security. This is definitely the work of a powerful national force, and it has been planned for a long time. Fortunately, so far, none of their confidential information has been lost, but it cannot be ruled out that the other party will leave behind hidden backhand. After waiting anxiously for 4 hours, Hans finally got good news. The unknown super virus has stopped running, and all the invaded information and data are kept intact in the server. After checking the reported information, Hanster still had a cold expression on his face. He looked around and the officials began to question. "In other words, you failed to completely eliminate the unknown virus in the end, and you only shut down most of the servers to force the other party to stop attacking?" The officials of the Network Information Security Department looked at each other and had no choice but to nod. At this moment, Hanster really wanted to hit it with a hammer, which meant that their emergency military defense operation had completely failed. Not only did they fail to find out the origin of the other party, but they also allowed the other party to spy on the confidential documents of dozens of military bases in their country. The damage caused to the country cannot be measured in money. Even the entire Military Computer Research Center has not yet cracked the strange attack methods and paths of this virus. It seems that all this is like the hand of God, teasing at will. If the target of the attack this time is not the data in these servers, but their national defense weapon security system, how terrible will the impact be? Wouldn't the nuclear bomb that we worked so hard to develop become someone else's toy, and we would immediately lose control of it? Just in case the enemy is in a good mood. Conveniently, 2 intercontinental missiles were remotely launched from the aircraft carrier and positioned at the White House. Everyone can go and have a meal directly. Hanster didn't dare to think any further. At this moment, he just wanted to know how he should report his mission to the president. And this kind of thing does not only happen in the United States. Similar farces are repeated in Europe, Asia, Australia, and other regions. May 8, 2010, 8 a.m. Major news media urgently broadcast a piece of news. "Hello dear viewers, today around 2 a.m. Kyoto time, global computer systems suffered a serious cybersecurity leak. An unknown new virus infected almost 80% of computers in the same time period. This virus spreads extremely fast, involves global network services, and can forcibly seize computer control rights and obtain all server data and information. Because it is a brand new virus system, it is immune to all known antivirus methods on the market. According to analysis by industry experts, the indirect economic losses of this network information crisis reach tens of billions, which is no less than the outbreak of a large-scale military conflict. Experts recommend that netizens should not upload information on the internet at will in the near future, let alone conduct online banking transfers to avoid causing financial losses. After seeing the news report, major online forums exploded. "Damn it, no wonder I said my computer was so stuck when I was playing games yesterday. My dear, we have lost tens of billions. What kind of virus is this that can cause such a large scale? Yes, I have never seen so much money in my life. I dare to ask any boss who can spend tens of billions. Tisk, the layout upstairs is really small. I have connections in the military department, and they say that even the military base has been invaded. I heard that this loss cannot be measured in terms of money, and news reports simply do not dare to mention it. I'll go, this is real or fake. I'm bragging without drafting. Believe it or not, even a superpower like the United States has suffered. What do you think?" The incident continued for 10 days, and even Li Yao's junior high school classmates began to discuss the matter. The instigator, Li Yao himself, had no time to pay attention to the disturbances from the outside world and directly asked for leave from the school. "I stayed in seclusion at home for 10 days. Li Yao summarized and arranged all the important information collected from all over the world, including the military scientific research content of many countries. Then let Ling Ai analyze and absorb big data one by one. When the progress was loaded to 100%, Li Yao's eyes flashed with excitement. At this moment, Ling Yi has completed the update and evolution of version 2.0. With global data as the core database, coupled with Ling Ai's terrifying supercomputing power, many things that were impossible in the previous life may be possible in this life. It's really a hat trick. However, it's not the time for Li Yao to be happy yet. The top priority is to sort out the current finishing work. He was able to successfully invade the core military base of the United States before, except for his own attack methods that were beyond the times and Ling Yi's help. It's more about my own experience. Li Yao has worked in many secret agencies in the United States and knows the network security situation inside, even the server keys of each department. But this does not mean that the level of scientific and technological strength in the United States is low. When they calm down, they will eventually find out the clues. It is only a matter of time. Ling Ai, are you ready for my college entrance examination qualifications? Li Yao asked. Of course you are ready, my master. That's right. I didn't go to college back then, so I'll make up for it in this life. Li Yao narrowed his eyes. Going to Huaqing University at the age of 14 should be a shock to the whole country. Should I take advantage of this situation to make some big moves? There is no way, with his strength here, he is not allowed to keep a low profile. 1 month later. The National College Entrance Examination event is in full swing. The entrance of Yuchen Middle School was full of parents, excitedly sending students into the examination room one by one. Reporters from major media outlets in the city also came to the scene one after another, and there was a huge crowd and heavy traffic. A tall female anchor with a pretty face was leading a camera team, preparing to walk into the crowd and interview a few people as news material. Suddenly, a thin figure passed by her. Judging from his appearance, he should not be more than 13 or 14 years old. Then it's you. Bai Tiantian showed a professional smile and walked confidently over there. Little brother, we are reporters from the Chunqing Evening News. We would like to interview you. Can I ask you a few questions? Li Yao raised his head and raised his eyebrows slightly. Yuchen Evening News? I haven't heard of it. Puffed, cough cough cough. The photographer behind him couldn't help laughing. He realized something was wrong and quickly pretended to cough. Bai Tiantian didn't expect him to answer like this. She rolled her eyes at the photographer behind her, turned around and smiled awkwardly. Then are you still accepting the interview, little brother? It's okay, just ask. I'll give you 5 minutes. Li Yao lowered his head and looked at his watch, speaking as if a big star was leaving a chance for a young reporter. Bai Tiantian immediately regretted interviewing him. Are you a family member of the candidates here? No, I am a candidate. Bai Tiantian started to get a little angry. She was sure that the kid in front of her was just teasing her. However, her professionalism still made her continue to ask questions with a smile on her face. So since you said you are a candidate, how old are you this year? If I remember correctly, I should be 14 years old. Li Yao shrugged and stretched out 3 fingers towards Bai Tiantian, meaning there were still 3 minutes left. Bai Tiantian was unwilling to give in and wanted to expose the lie of the kid in front of her. Then can you show me your admission ticket? We have never seen a candidate as young as you. As a senior hacker, Li Yao was not used to handing over personal information to outsiders, so he decisively refused. Beauty, you can choose not to believe it, but time will tell you everything. After saying that, Li Yao didn't give Bai Tiantian a chance to continue questioning, and turned around and walked towards the school gate. Looking at Li Yao's back, Bai Tiantian was so speechless that she didn't even know where to place the microphone. She has never seen such an outrageous little devil, and he is just dragging him to the sky. Sister Bai, look, he really went through the security check. It seems like he is really a candidate. The photographer pointed in the direction not far away. Bai Tiantian curled her lips and snorted, so what if you are really a candidate? I guess you were asked by your parents to take the college entrance examination in advance to familiarize yourself with the tense atmosphere. It's not like this kind of thing has happened before. To put it bluntly, it's just for high school students to supplement their income. The photographer sighed. At 14 years old, a newborn calf is not afraid of tigers in an examination room somewhere in Yuchen Middle School. Li Yao was like an alien, crossing his legs and playing with his pen. Her young and delicate face is incompatible with other high school students. Even several invigilators were shocked. After so many years of teaching, this is the first time I have seen such a young student take the college entrance examination. How old are you? You should be in junior high school. Ding! Finally, the exam bell rang, and all the candidates picked up paper and pen and began to answer. Anyone who has taken the exam should know that the supervision in the first half of the exam is the most stringent. The invigilator on the stage could not do anything else and stared at the students in the audience like an eagle eye. As long as there is the slightest sign of trouble, I will immediately catch you. Teacher Wang, who invigilated Li Yao's examination room, was one of them. Teacher Wang's eyes swept over and finally landed on Li Yao. 3 minutes after the exam started, everyone was racing against time to answer the questions. Only this kid turned the test paper over and over slowly. His expression was like reading a newspaper. There's definitely something weird. Teacher Wang is experienced and direct with his eyes to signal other teachers to come over. Teacher Wang whispered, "You should pay more attention to the boy by the window, he is probably going to do some tricks." After saying that, Teacher Wang adjusted his glasses, and the flashing bright lenses looked particularly smart. The first session is Chinese. Li Yao turned over the test paper and sighed in his heart. It turns out that this is the Chinese language for the college entrance examination. No one can do the reading comprehension questions. When it comes to writing, I have absolutely no idea where to start. After reading it, he could only write down the things he had memorized word for word. Yes, he is indeed the world's #1 hacker genius. But he is also seriously partial to science. Li Yao knows nothing about liberal arts. This was also the reason why he didn't continue to go to school and take the college entrance examination in his previous life. Then he silently thought about Lingyi coming out. As an advanced intelligent life, Lingyi can avoid all scanning equipment and attach to his body parts. At the same time, it can also identify his brainwave signal and convert it into a digital signal, so that his heartbeat can be heard. Master, through AI integrated analysis, 10,086 essays with a score of 60 have been synthesized, with a predicted success rate of 98%. 98% chance of scoring 60 points? 60 points is the full score for Chinese composition. Depending on each teacher's marking style, the score for the same article may be different, but Lingyi can predict 98%, which is basically stable. Lingyi transferred the articles into Li Yao's brain through brainwaves, and quickly selected the most satisfactory one. Li Yao finished the composition in less than half an hour, and the next step was the reading questions. In the face of the first intelligent life in human history, these questions are just a novice, and it only takes 0.00001 seconds to analyze all the answers. Li Yao sighed while copying. It would definitely be an insult to his IQ if he were asked to answer such an inexplicable question. He is a genius, so why should he guess what emotions the author wants to express? In less than an hour and 45 minutes, Li Yao finished all the questions. It's just that due to the regulations, I have to wait until 30 minutes before the end before I can leave. Li Yao stretched and began to look out the window to enjoy the sunshine. At the same time, Teacher Wang, who was invigilating the exam on the podium, raised the corners of his mouth slightly. He laughed in his heart and said, "You kid is finally showing off your skills. How long has it been since you couldn't sit still anymore?" Making a quick decision, Teacher Wang quietly walked towards Li Yao, trying to catch him off guard. Just when he was about to examine it, he caught a glimpse of the test paper on Li Yao's desk and was stunned on the spot. The handwriting is neat and the answer box is filled with answers. How can this be? Teacher Wang repeatedly checked the time on his watch. In less than an hour, this kid had already finished writing the test paper. Impossible. He definitely wrote it randomly. Just when he wanted to continue to delve deeper, he lowered his head and met Li Yao's eyes. There was a breathtaking intimidation in the clear black and white pupils. Teacher Wang couldn't help but feel nervous. He had never seen such an indifferent feeling coming from a boy of 13 or 14 years old. It's like the disdain and disregard of a superior person. In a state of confusion, Teacher Wang returned to the podium and continued to focus on the students, but he was no longer interested in invigilating the exam. After a while, Li Yao checked the time, ignored the shocked looks of other candidates, handed in the exam paper, and walked out of the classroom immediately. Outside the school gate, many reporters and photographers were waiting with guns and cannons, waiting for the first candidate to walk out of the examination room. Behind him stood Wu Yang's parents. Since the media want to get first-hand information, they basically conduct live broadcasts. Just after they finished interviewing a group of parents, a thin figure wearing a white shirt slowly walked out of the school gate. This person is none other than Li Yao. As soon as I took the first step out of the door, I was immediately surrounded by reporters and media in a ring. "Classmate, can I interview you with a few questions?" The speaker was a good-looking female reporter who looked familiar. She should be from the mainstream media and often appeared on TV. Li Yao shrugged, "It doesn't matter, you can ask whatever you want." Female reporter, as the first student to walk out of the examination room, "How do you feel at this moment?" "Well, I'm in an ordinary mood," Li Yao said calmly. "I can only say that this exam is too easy, especially the composition. If it is this difficult, then I can only reluctantly book the top scorer in the college entrance examination." Female reporter? All parents? Everyone took a breath. This little naughty boy was so crazy. He dared to say that he wanted to be the top pick in the first exam. Could it be that this guy is the reincarnation of the King of Forces, so good at pretending? Puff. Bai Tiantian listened beside her and couldn't help laughing. As a reporter, this was the first time she saw a junior high school student pretending to be like him. She had already guessed that Li Yao would be the first one to leave the examination room. After all, he couldn't solve the questions, so he should be the first one to leave the examination room. But unfortunately, what she didn't guess was that Li Yao was not only a top genius who would be reborn in the future, but also had the blessing of a terrifying intelligent life form. Li Yao waved his hand, and the others consciously made way for him and faded out of everyone's sight. The next day, the same scenario happened again. Today is the math exam, and it just so happens that this time it is Teacher Wang who is proctoring Li Yao's exam. Because Li Yao had such a profound impression on him yesterday, Teacher Wang stood directly next to him this time. I watched Li Yao's slick and fluent answers to the questions completely. I was so shocked that my mouth was shaking. It took 31 minutes to write the entire test paper. Shorter than yesterday. Oh my god, where did this stone monkey pop out from? It's so outrageous. Teacher Wang is a mathematics teacher himself. After seeing Li Yao's ideas for answering questions, he vaguely felt that all the answers were correct. Even some formulas and theorems were not clear to him, but Li Yao still wrote out all the proof processes. Suddenly, it was as if he saw the great mathematician Gauss standing in front of him. Teacher Wang is numb. At noon, the gate of Yuchen Middle School was once again crowded. As the top reporter of the Chunqing Evening News, Bai Tiantian skillfully grabbed a front row seat early. While waiting anxiously, I seemed to see another familiar figure within my field of vision. Bai Tiantian exclaimed, "Ah, could it be him again?" After a while, Bai Tiantian touched her forehead with her hand. Sure enough, it's him again. Hey, isn't this the same person from yesterday? Why is he the first to come out today? Oh, let me go, don't tell me it's really him, he looks so young, he doesn't look like a high school student. I was very impressed with him yesterday. He boasted that he won the top spot in the college entrance examination. It is really not illegal to brag these days. A group of parents behind him recognized Li Yao and started talking about him. These parents asked about their children's Chinese test status last night. Students all said that the composition for this exam was extremely difficult, which was probably a sign that they were going to fail. But at this time, Li Yao stood up and said that this exam was very easy, especially the essay. Isn't this a slap in the face to their own children? Therefore, Li Yao indirectly caused public anger, which made these people look unhappy. As the first reporter, Bai Tiantian had to chase Li Yao for interviews. "Classmate, do you still remember me? I am a reporter from the Chunqing Evening News. It seems that you are the first to walk out of the examination room today." Li Yao said playfully, "Oh, it's you, an unknown young reporter." Bai Tiantian cursed in her heart, "Little devil, you are so mad at me. I know you are only 14 years old this year. As the youngest candidate in this field, do you have anything to say?" Everyone was shocked when they heard Bai Tiantian's words. What? This guy is only 14 years old. Li Yao looked at the parents and sighed, "I feel that our examination system should be changed. If such simple math questions are asked, it is hard to imagine how future students will develop." Li Yao cleared his throat. Since he wanted to keep a high profile, he would simply keep a high profile to the end. "I think this college entrance examination is the easiest college entrance examination. I am 14 years old and have basically never been to school before. I just glanced at the test papers in the examination room and finished them all. You can put it this way, if you can't get 130 points in math, there should be a problem with your IQ. I thought the college entrance examination would be a worthy challenge, but I didn't expect it to be so boring." Bai Tiantian is stupid. Blinking her big innocent eyes, "This is a live broadcast, brother. Now that Li Yao's words are broadcast, I don't know how many people will be watching. Unexpectedly, I really hit the jackpot, and anyone I looked for could be used as a self-destruct truck. If the leaders of the newspaper were to blame, his career would really end early." The staff and parents on the side were also shocked, and even the security guard couldn't stand it anymore. I wanted to pull Li Yao out of the crowd quickly. He was afraid that someone wouldn't be able to hold back and would come up and beat this stupid boy who didn't know how to do anything. Finally, someone began to angrily say, "Whose child are you from? You really think you have an over-the-top IQ? Why do I dislike you so much?" Li Yao said calmly, "I disappoint you, I really have a superior IQ." The man was immediately speechless. "Ahem, you are so young and energetic. I wonder what you, the audience in front of the TV, think of this college entrance examination. You are welcome to call." Bai Tiantian saw that the scene was a little out of control, and hurriedly said the closing words to the live camera. Just as she was about to jump to the screen, she remembered that she had not asked this freak's name yet. "By the way, classmate, what's your name?" Li Yao raised his head slightly and stared at the camera. At this moment, he seemed to be really speaking to the world. "My name is Li Yao, and I am destined to be the top man in the world." Regarding such an answer, for a moment, Bai Tiantian really thought that he was not joking. Li Yao felt that the time was almost here. After all, the hatred value is full. If you don't leave now, you will wait until later. With the popularity, it will be easier for him to contact higher-level people. Because there is a bigger plan waiting for him to do, and he will never be able to complete it alone, and he must find a more powerful organizational force. According to our reporter's report, a 14-year-old boy from Chunqing sparked heated discussions among netizens this year. He has been the first candidate to leave the examination room 4 times, and he has also made harsh words many times, threatening to win the top spot in the province's college entrance examination. According to insiders, this young hero always looks calm and composed after every exam, and even despises any students who can't get 130 in math. I wonder if this candidate is just a newborn calf who is not afraid of tigers, or is he really one of the best among men? Our reporters will also follow up on the follow-up news. On the news, a clip of Li Yao's live broadcast was immediately played. I saw the handsome young man on the screen speaking the most hateful words with a mean look on his face. I am 14 years old and have never been to school before. I think this college entrance examination is the easiest the college entrance examination. In the end, the director deliberately left a close-up shot of Li Yao. Especially his last sentence, "My name is Li Yao, and I am destined to be a top man in the world," directly pierced the brains of the scumbags in front of the TV. The student parties across the country who are taking the college entrance examination are going to be pissed to death. They all want to go to the real Li Yao offline. Overnight, the name Li Yao spread all over the country. At the same time, Bai Tiantian was notified to go to the leadership office after completing her reporting work. She felt very uneasy at the moment. She was afraid that the leaders at the newspaper would fire her directly. Just when she was fully prepared to be criticized to death, she found that the leader had a smile on his face. The leader stood up, immediately waved and said with a smile, "Xiao Bai, sit down. Why are you so polite to me? You did a good job in your college entrance examination live broadcast this time." The news popularity of our newspaper suddenly soared more than 10 times. "You are our great hero." Bai Tiantian was dumbfounded. "Ah, but I saw a lot of forum comments full of curses. Won't this have a negative impact on us?" The leader smiled meaningfully and adjusted his glasses. "You are still too young. What we want is popularity. As for the negative insults, they are all for that kid, not us. Your top priority now is to put aside what you are doing, and while the heat is still rising, follow up and report on that kid named Li Yao. Especially his college entrance examination results, we must get them as soon as possible, and it is best to also check out his past history. These are hot traffic." Under repeated instructions from the leader, Bai Tiantian could only say "oh" blankly a few times and walked out of the office in a daze. Could it be that Li Yao is his lucky star? He can also give her a promotion and a salary increase? Now, Li Yao has a new nickname, Southwest Madman, because he took the college entrance examination in Chongqing, which is located in the southwest, and because he spoke wildly and was extremely arrogant, he was ridiculed by netizens. At this moment, Li Yao, who was far away in Chongqing, had returned to the rental house. I didn't pay attention to those people on the internet at all, and was concentrating on calculating the data at the workbench. Height 178.345 centimeters, weight 65.145 kilograms, vital capacity 3842, systolic blood pressure 113 mmHg, heart rate 72 beats/min, diastolic blood pressure 73 mmHg. Regarding Li Yao's physical data, Ling Yi provided hundreds of items. The data for each item is very accurate and detailed, and Li Yao can clearly judge his physical level. Very bad. To say that I am sub-healthy is a bit flattering. Mainly due to long-term lack of healthy and nutritious food and unhealthy work and rest, his body's qi and blood were severely depleted. Although he was mentally prepared, Li Yao still didn't expect that his body would be so weak. "Ling Ai, have you found the document I asked you to collect at the Fort Meade military base? List it." Ling Yi flashed up on the computer screen, still dressed as a beautiful girl, followed by a collection of files and multiple pop-up windows. SSS-level confidential document, codename Nibelungen Plan. It was implemented in the early 1930s, and its first person in charge was Dr. Fejin, a scientist who defected from the German Empire to the United States. The main content of the plan is to use genetic optimization to create a group of people with superhuman strength, speed, resistance, and endurance, as well as extraordinary self-healing abilities and the ability to delay aging. This plan has been secretly tested for 80 years, with 8,038 tests on prosthetics and 4,260 tests on living subjects. The test success rate is 0%. Research on the Nibelung project lasted for 80 years. The experiments added up to tens of thousands of times, but they never succeeded. Even though it spends countless military expenditures every year, the United States is still eager to follow up on this plan. It can be seen from this how attractive this plan to build super soldiers is. What Li Yao knew alone was that dozens of countries were secretly conducting such experiments. Although the test methods were different, the ultimate purpose of the experiments was the same. It can be said that we reached the same goal through different paths. As for why Li Yao knew about this experiment, naturally, he was one of the leaders of China's research in this direction in the previous life, and he also heard that the United States was the country with the fastest progress at that time. Just like when nuclear weapons were developed, the whole world is engaged in an arms race. It is a pity that he only completed 90% of the development of the Nibelungen plan in the previous life and was unable to make a breakthrough. It's not because he's not strong enough, but because of the limitations of the times. The operator deductions that supercomputers can provide cannot meet the specified standards. The remaining 10% had no way to push forward and had to give up. But these days are different. Li Yao now has an intelligent life called Ling Yi. Its deduction capability far exceeds that of all supercomputers in today's countries, even if all combined are less than 1% of it. Ling Ai, open the smart equation. Li Yao issued the order. After reading all the contents of the Nibelung plan, he already had a clear direction in his mind. Dense mathematical formulas appeared on the computer screen, followed by various core data contents. Li Yao quickly copied the data, and then relied on his super memory from the previous life to ask Ling Yi to perform the deduction according to his instructions. The night passed like this, and a white belly appeared in the morning sky, but Li Yao still didn't know it. The 34,700th simulation test. The simulation test is in progress. Simulation data loading. Li Yao rubbed his temples, his eyes were bloodshot. Just when he was about to take a rest, his hands froze and his face was dull. Ling Yi suddenly heard an excited voice. This test was successful. Congratulations to the master, the Nibelung complement plan has been completed. Looking at the final test data and supplementary plan, Li Yao breathed a sigh of relief. Hard work pays off. A world-class problem that has plagued the United States for 80 years was solved overnight by Li Yao. If word spread, it would definitely cause an uproar. Now that the plan has been completed, the next step is to prepare materials and mechanical equipment. Each of these things is valuable, and even has a price but no market, and it is impossible to obtain it without channels. I am afraid that only some top tycoons in the country have these conditions. After he pondered for a while, it was time to go to the Magic City. The summer in the Magic City in June is scorching hot, and everyone walking on the streets is dripping with sweat. However, although summer is hot, it has its benefits after all. The beauties of the past wore cool and eye-catching clothes. After being reborn, Li Yao suddenly felt a little emotional when he saw several skyscrapers outside the beach again. Perhaps time is really just a thing defined by narrow human beings. In the vast macroscopic matter and microscopic particles, there is only motion, and there is no concept of time. TCH, you are young but your tone is not small. You are quite interesting. A burst of laughter broke Li Yao's thoughts. He turned around and saw a tall and beautiful woman. She is wearing a white slim-fitting shirt that outlines her beautiful figure, black high heels, and her long hair and light makeup look even more eye-catching. Li Yao frowned slightly. He didn't like anyone disturbing him at this time. Hey, little brother, I think you look familiar. The beautiful woman in front of her seemed to be remembering, and suddenly her eyes widened and she said, "Ah, I remember, aren't you the craziest candidate this year?" The craziest candidate? These are all stupid nicknames. Li Yao was speechless and didn't want to talk to this woman, even if she was a beauty. Li Yao turned around and planned to leave. Hey, why are you so boring? Didn't you see this beautiful lady chatting with you? Little brother, this beauty seemed a little surprised. Normally, passers-by would see her unable to walk, but today she took the initiative to strike up a conversation and was rejected. This stinky brother is indeed as crazy as reported in the news. Master, this person's background seems to be helpful to you. Ling Yi suddenly sent a signal in Li Yao's brain, and then Li Yao received a series of brainwave messages. Name, Yesweking, related information, female, 20 years old, weight 45.81 kilograms, chest circumference 96, waist circumference 58, arm circumference 93, heart rate 77 beats/min, currently studying in the Department of Finance at Woking University. She is the third daughter of Ye Cheng, chairman of Huake Medical Group. Huake Medical Group is currently the second largest medical group in China. It operates 278 medical institutions with a total bed capacity exceeding 30,000, and has independent biological research laboratories and a sound medical equipment system. This is the information that Ling Yi extracted from the big data search obtained from the last raid on the global server through facial recognition. What a coincidence, she turned out to be the daughter of the chairman of Huake. One of Li Yao's goals in coming to Shanghai this time is Huake. He wants to use the group's biopharmaceutical capabilities to develop a nylon Bergen serum for him. In this case, Li Yao didn't need to go to great lengths to find Ye Cheng and stopped immediately. Seeing Li Yao stop and turn around, Yesweking snickered in her heart. Come on, if you hadn't been attracted by this girl's beauty, I knew you wouldn't leave. Li Yao walked straight to Yesweking and said calmly, I know you are Yesweking, the daughter of Ye Cheng, the largest shareholder and chairman of Huake Medical Group. Yesweking's face gradually became serious, and she couldn't help but take 2 steps back. What do you mean, you are secretly investigating me and then deliberately approaching me? Li Yao seemed not to hear her words and continued to talk to himself. As the youngest daughter of a billionaire, instead of being spoiled and raised to have a young lady's temper, you like to do some outrageous things. Although there are very few reports about you in the market media, there are very few people in the industry who don't know your name, Miss Ye. Yesweking frowned, and her face became uglier the more she listened. Didn't the news say that this guy was just a stupid boy who took the college entrance examination at the age of 14? How come from his tone and demeanor, he is more like a calm and steady high-ranking person? It's like a junior meeting an elder. Yesweking was also someone who had seen big scenes, so she naturally didn't want to be led away by Li Yao. He immediately put away his previous joking attitude and snorted, What do you want? Money or power? I don't believe that a 14-year-old boy like you can pose any threat to me. You know, my bodyguards are secretly protecting me in the dark. If there's any trouble, you can't leave. Li Yao smiled. Are you saying that those kids opposite who are buying ice cream and riding bicycles are your personal bodyguards? I can know your identity, and naturally I also know that you sneaked out to play alone this time. Yes, Swecking was immediately speechless and said in a slightly panicked tone, even if I let you know, then, so what? Don't be nervous, I have no power, how can I possibly rob you in the street? Yes, Swecking seemed to have thought of something. Her face turned slightly red and she gritted her teeth and said, could it be that you were thinking about that? You are such a pervert and little pervert. Li Yao's forehead darkened, and he looked at her strangely, as if he had some serious illness. Don't worry, I'm not interested in you, but I heard that your grandfather seems to have a difficult and complicated disease. Even your family can't cure it, right? Yes, Swecking breathed a sigh of relief, but suddenly became nervous again. You actually know about my grandfather. My grandfather has been tortured by illness these years and rarely attends public events. Unexpectedly, he knows a lot. Do you want to tell me that you can cure my grandfather's disease? Yes, Swecking chuckled. Li Yao nodded. I do have the ability to cure your old man's illness, but it depends on whether your sincerity can satisfy me. Yes, Swecking felt that her intelligence had been insulted. A foolish boy who had just taken the college entrance examination at the age of 14 and threatened to win the top spot in the college entrance examination, now went to the daughter of the top medical tycoon in the country and said that he wanted to cure her grandfather's serious illness. Even a normal person would think this person is crazy. As a top student at Huaqing University, yes, Swecking naturally wouldn't believe it. I know you won't believe it now, but ancient people have proven the truth for thousands of years. Li Yao looked directly into her eyes and raised the corners of his mouth slightly. That is, there is only one chance, and miracles will only happen to the most incredible people, and I'm the most incredible person. In a daze, yes, Swecking was a little lost. The person in front of him suddenly changed his temperament, his eyes became deeper, which was in sharp contrast with his thin appearance, and he had an unparalleled sparkle. Yes, Swecking's sixth sense told her that this man would really create miracles. Yes, Swecking was silent for a while, then sighed and said, okay, I'll give you a chance. It's not convenient to talk here. Let's find a secluded place to chat first. Immediately, Li Yao followed Yes Swecking into a private tea house, which covered a large area and even had a garden for viewing. There was someone to guide the whole process and it was under closed control. Good afternoon, Miss Ya. Please take your seats. The waitress in traditional Chinese costumes brought the tea and snacks to the mahogany table very politely, then consciously closed the curtain and left. Smelling the antique scent from the incense burner in the house, paired with the exquisite murals and poems from the Song dynasty, it's like going back to ancient times. At first glance, it's a valuable place. Gilu. After saying this, Li Yao picked up the tea and took a sip of it. Yes, Swecking was immediately confused. At this moment, don't you want to sigh a few times, or even recite a few poems? Li Yao picked up the teapot and was about to swallow the second cup of tea when he wondered, I'm not a poet. I talk about poetry every day. Have you watched too many costume dramas? What an unpredictable and boring little man. Yes, Swecking complained in her heart. She had met many self-righteous men who wanted to show off in front of her when they took her into these places. Li Yao was really unique in doing this. Let's get down to business. Since you are confident that you can cure my grandfather's disease, what do you do to make me believe in you? Yes, Swecking asked. Li Yao said casually, if you want me to prove it to you, then bring me to your home. Then you will naturally know whether I am strong or not. This is impossible. Even if I agree, my parents will not allow a stranger to enter our home at will. Who knows what kind of peace of mind you have? Li Yao smiled and said, in that case, I'll leave first. After saying that, Li Yao stood up decisively and walked straight out the door. 1 step, 2 steps. Yes, Swecking watched as Li Yao was about to walk out of the room, recalling the moments when she got along with her grandfather in her mind, and gritted her teeth. Okay. I promise you, I can take you in, but you have to promise me a few requirements. Li Yao stopped, only 1 foot away from the threshold, as if he had already predicted it. He turned around and said, the conditions don't matter. Oh, by the way, remember this is an opportunity one give you, you have to take advantage of it. After a long while, Yes Swecking made an agreement with Li Yao. She would obey her arrangements and could only provide advice to her grandfather. She could not directly use drugs or other harmful methods. Before leaving, Yes Swecking couldn't help but ask this little man who was 6 years younger than herself, have you always been so confident since you were a child? Li Yao smiled and said nothing, waved his hand and walked out of the tea room, fading out of her sight. The time agreed upon by the two of them soon came. This morning, Li Yao had just woken up when he was disturbed by a phone call. Yes Swecking was already waiting for him downstairs in the hotel, calling anxiously to inform him. Li Yao finished washing up slowly and walked out of the hotel to see a crowd of people blocking the door. $4 or $5 million luxury cars were parked aside, as if they were at a driving show. Next to them stood a stunning beauty wearing sunglasses. There was a lot of chatter among the crowd. What kind of rich second generation is this? He actually has bodyguards following him, and they all look fierce. Tisk, tisk, I don't think a hotel of our level can accommodate this giant Buddha. Hey, she seems to be waiting for someone, could it be that boy? Well, this kid seems familiar. I seem to have seen him on TV. Ye Xueqing recognized Liao at a glance in the crowd, hurriedly took off her sunglasses and walked towards him angrily. Just as the bodyguard next to him was about to call the young lady, he saw that she had already dragged Liao over. Being forcibly dragged into the luxury car, Liao looked unhappy. Before he could speak, Ye Xueqing retorted, "Can you have a sense of time? If you go late, if my parents get angry, the consequences will be really tragic." Liao completely ignored Miss Ye's display of power and glanced at the two bright and energetic men staring at him, feeling chilled. The fleet of luxury cars drove all the way out of the city amidst the envy of passers-by. We arrived at a remote private mountain village, surrounded by green belts and beautiful scenery. This is the most famous wealthy area in the Magic City, and the average price of Thompson's second-grade products is unmatched here. After all, the entire villa covers an area of 8,000 acres, which is equivalent to the total area of an average university. This shows how strong the Ye family's financial resources are. In front of the villa, 30 servants in uniforms were already standing side by side, slowly opening the door for the motorcade to see off. Ye Xueqing got out of the car with long straight legs, took off her sunglasses and hummed a tune. "Oh, it feels different when I go home. I don't know if the eldest sister and the second sister are back." Liao also got out of the car and looked at the surrounding magnificent decorations without any emotion. Seeing Liao's mediocre performance, Ye Xueqing was a little surprised. A young boy who is only 14 years old is about to face one of the top 10 richest people in China, but he doesn't feel timid at all. This in itself is an unusual thing. Miss Third, the chairman and his wife haven't come back yet. You can take a rest first. Is this the little friend you are talking about? On the way, a steward with gray sideburns was talking to the roadside, his eyes showing suspicion towards Liao. He is the old housekeeper of the Ye family, so he naturally knows about the old man's affairs. When the old housekeeper learned from the third lady that a 14-year-old boy had a way to cure his grandfather, he was also confused. Fearing that the third young lady would encounter a charlatan, the old housekeeper deliberately notified the other two young ladies at home in advance. Sure enough, two pairs of figures appeared near the musical fountain not far away. One of the men and women looked about 30. The man is tall, wearing a suit and collar, and has a British style, while the woman has the temperament of a beautiful lady, with a hint of domineering hidden between her eyebrows, a standard example of a strong woman. The style of the other male and female pair is more scholarly. The women are slim, gentle and elegant, while the men wear gold frames and are handsome and delicate. Obviously these are the other two daughters of Ye Cheng of the Ye family, both of whom are already married and starting a business. Eldest sister, second sister. You are all back. When she saw the faces of several people clearly, Ye Xueqing couldn't help but rushed over and shouted with a smile. The beautiful lady shook her head helplessly. "Third sister, you are so old, why do you still look like a child and not be in shape all day long?" "Oh, eldest sister, it's rare for third sister to come back from vacation, so don't lecture her." Another woman who looked a lot like Ye Xueqing joked with a smile. "Ahem, Xueqing, is he the person you said can cure the old man's disease?" The tallest man in a suit looked at Liao and said. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone else all turned their attention to Liao, especially the eldest sister and the second sister. Although they were all smiling, there was a trace of ferocity in their eyes. As if they were already prepared, the two of them took their husbands' arms and walked up to Liao. At this moment, Ling Yi's data had been sent to Liao. Ye Wanfen, 32 years old, the eldest daughter of Ye Cheng, chairman of Huake Medical Group. Ye Wanfen currently serves as the president and chief financial officer of the Financing and Capital Management Department of Huake Medical Group, and is also the CFO of Ye Hua Industrial. Ye Shi, 28 years old, graduated from MIT with a PhD in mathematics and electronic information. Ye Shi currently serves as the president of the TNT Mathematics and Physics Association. He is a well-known mathematical elite in academic circles and has been invited to participate in world-class mathematics competitions many times. In addition, there is a comprehensive evaluation of the appearance, figure, knowledge, etc. of the three sisters in the upper-class circle of the Magic City. The first one is Ye Shi, followed by Ye Wanfen, and finally Ye Xueqing. Liao received all the information in the blink of an eye and ignored the last piece of useless information. Surprisingly, Liao took the initiative and spoke directly. "Hello, four gentlemen and ladies. I am Liao." Everyone was a little surprised. The eldest sister Ye Wanfen said slowly, "It seems that you are really confident to come here. Let me introduce myself. My name is Ye Wanfen. I am the eldest daughter of the Ye family. This is my husband, Li Suyang. After all, I am the same family as you." Ye Wanfen deliberately emphasized the word eldest daughter as if she was warning Liao not to play tricks in front of her. Another woman said crisply, "Well, I am Xueqing's second sister Ye Shi. From now on, you can just call me Sister Shi." Compared with the eldest sister, the second sister Ye Shi's attitude is much gentler. Perhaps this is because the two of them are playing tricks and deliberately testing Liao. The other two men had a relatively cold attitude and just greeted each other briefly. At this time, the old housekeeper began to speak. "Ladies, the luncheon is coming soon, why don't we go to the dining room to prepare first?" Ye Sueking grinned and said, "Okay, I happen to be hungry too." Ye Wanfen nodded and looked at Li Yao slowly. "What do you think? Let's go have a meal first and then discuss the rest." Li Yao said without thinking, "Okay, I haven't eaten well these past few days, so I just need to replenish my body." Dozens of palace dishes are placed on the hand-ground white jade dining table, and there are even a few famous Sichuan dishes in Chongqing. It was obviously specially prepared for Li Yao. Looking at the exquisite delicacies on the table, Li Yao was not polite and started to eat with chopsticks. "Master, we have visualized the nutritional data that you should consume based on your physical fitness. Carbohydrate intake is 27.3 g/270 g, fat intake is 13 g/123 g, protein intake is 16.8 g/141 g, muscle fibers are being repaired. It has been detected that your blood sugar is rising rapidly, please reduce your sugar intake appropriately. Through bioelectrical conduction, the growth and development of muscles and bones are stimulated, and muscle strength and endurance are increased by 0.13%. Every time Li Yao eats a delicious meal, the nutrients in his body will be quickly absorbed, and his body will be strengthened through bioelectric stimulation, and different combinations of nutrients will enhance different parts and abilities." Therefore, for half an hour, the entire Ye family stared at Li Yao as he frantically plucked food, just like a beggar who has never eaten. Even Ye Sueking, who was usually the most unattractive person, had to admire Li Yao's eccentricity at this moment. At this time, the two couples and the Ye family had plans in mind. Li Yao, this kid, was arrogant at a young age, eating and drinking around, and even pretending to be in front of them. How could a person with this kind of personality be the last straw to save Grandpa? It seems that third sister really found the wrong person this time. "Ah, eldest sister and second sister, I really didn't expect Li Yao to be so good at eating," Ye Sueking whispered to the others. At this moment, she once again regretted bringing Li Yao into her home. The eldest sister Ye Wanfen gently patted the third sister's little hand to reassure her and leave everything to her. Then she motioned to her husband Li Suyang and looked at Li Yao coldly. She said coldly in her heart, if Li Yao really deceived his third sister, or even tried to deceive the Ye family, then he would definitely make him suffer. When Li Suyang saw that Li Yao had almost eaten, he took out a tissue and handed it to him. "Brother Li, I have read news reports about you. I heard that you are very confident that you can become the provincial champion this year. Young people are courageous. It's a coincidence that my brother-in-law also ranked 5th in the Magic City College entrance examination. I think you must have something in common." He Zhou is Ye Shi's husband. He Zhou on the side gently wiped his gold-rimmed glasses, put them on again, and chuckled. "Brother Suyang is really joking. Nowadays, the world is dominated by young people. I guess little brother Li must be outstanding, otherwise he wouldn't dare to take the college entrance examination at the age of 14, right?" Li Yao watched the two of them singing in harmony quietly, and naturally understood what they meant. "Are you trying to give yourself a show of strength? Then let them do whatever they want." Li Yao suddenly said, "You must be Dr. He Zhou. Your recent research in the field of ultra-wideband radiated millimeter wave integrated circuits must have run into a lot of trouble. Am I right?" Li Yao's rhetorical question instantly confused the confident He Zhuwen. Even Ye Shi was a little shocked. As a scholar, she naturally knew about her husband's scientific research work. Li Yao continued to think about himself. With the continuous development of microelectronics technology, the requirements for the size, weight, performance, and cost of electronic systems are also getting higher and higher. You want to improve millimeter wave integrated circuits through multi-layer and multi-core modularization, but you ignore a key factor. As Li Yao spoke in more detail, He Zhou's eyes gradually brightened. That is, there is a compatibility loophole in the underlying logic of HMIC and MMIC technology, which is not enough to support your high integration requirements. If you really want to achieve it, then. Li Yao deliberately paused here. He Zhou was a little anxious. Then what needs to be done? Hiss. Yeah, she couldn't stand it anymore and secretly pinched her husband. He Zhou suddenly realized his gaffe, coughed a few times and winked at Ye Wanfen. His meaning was obvious. "Sister, I'm so sorry, I'll be defeated first." When Ye Wanfen next to him saw this, he couldn't help but become serious. It seemed that the young man in front of him was really unusual. She is very clear about He Zhou's character and will never easily ask outsiders for advice, especially in the academic field. Li Yao convinced He Zhou in just a few words, which was quite interesting. Ye Sueking watched from the sidelines as the demeanor of the others gradually changed dramatically, and she was in awe. Hey, it seems that the usually arrogant eldest sister is about to fall into trouble. Li Suyang opened his mouth to break the deadlock again. "Brother Li, did you learn this on the internet? You know this knowledge in junior high school. It's really amazing." Ahem, Brother Suyang. "This paper of mine has not been published yet, so it should not be available online," He Zhou added awkwardly. "Oh, really? Everyone was even more shocked. Li Yao said calmly, actually, the solution to the problem is very simple. It's just that your direction is wrong and your thinking is wrong. Knowing that Li Yao was deliberately avoiding his question, Li Suyang did not continue to press the question. Okay, it seems that little brother Li is indeed extraordinary. You may really win the provincial champion this year. However, if you want to cure the old man's disease, scientific research alone may not be enough. Can you show us the medical method you want to use to treat the old man? Li Suyang has heard that some sects of doctors with superb medical skills have been passing on the inheritance, and they have even found a single line of miraculous doctors. It's a pity that there is nothing that can be done about the old man's illness. Li Yao spread his hands with a look of helplessness on his face. He couldn't say that he didn't understand medical skills at all. The way to treat the old man of the Ye family was to use Lingyi to control bioelectricity to directly inactivate, recombine, and regenerate cells. As a result, Li Yao started talking in a panic. I wonder if your Ye family has ever heard of the nine-finger medical sage? Nine-fingered medical sage? Everyone looked at me, and I looked at you, with blank expressions on their faces. Which aristocratic family title is this? Why haven't they heard of it? Li Yao continued to pretend to sigh and said, it seems that our lineage is really exhausted. In fact, to tell you the truth, I am the last generation successor of the nine-finger medical sage. I think back then our faction's medical skills were definitely the best among all, and we were famous all over the world for our unique secret method in southern Xinjiang to treat rare and strange diseases in the world. It's a pity that due to some changes, I finally retired to the mountains and forests. Ye Suiking suddenly realized, no wonder you are an orphan. I heard that these hidden sects specially select abandoned children and orphans as their heirs to keep their reputation. Li Yao acted like he had a nose and eyes, and even talked about a few unique medical books, as if he was really inheriting the family. But in fact, they were just random nonsense from the database selected by Lingyi. I see. Everyone nodded, although they were a little doubtful of Li Yao's words, but the strange thing about Li Yao was that he was really too young. The words and deeds that should not appear in him at such a young age seemed too genius at this moment. It was at this time that Ye Wanfen finally changed her mind about Li Yao. Ye Wanfen thought for a moment and then decisively decided to let Li Yao give it a try. For her to be a strong woman in the business world, in addition to her iron-blooded methods, she must also have courage that is different from ordinary people. Even if something goes wrong, the Ye family's high-precision medical facilities can force the old man to live for a few more years. Outside the door of a remote and quiet bedroom somewhere in the Ye family manor, the third daughter of the Ye family, her husband, and many servants were already standing at the door waiting, while Li Yao was leisurely looking at the surrounding Chinese-style ornaments. Each piece is a collection worth millions. At this time they are all waiting for important people to appear. That is, Ye Chang, the backbone of the Ye family, and of course his wife. Dong dong dong, the heavy footsteps were loud, followed by a middle-aged man with a dignified and majestic face. Ye Chang, 57 years old, chairman of Huake Medical Group, with a personal worth of more than 300 billion, currently ranked 8th on the China Rich list. Ye Chang glanced around, and finally his eyes fell on Li Yao. He waved his hand and solemnly extended a finger. 1 billion. If you can really cure my old man, I will transfer 1 billion to your personal account immediately.